let me start a subscription box. The existing books that have Black characters that are out there, let me make it accessible to parents in a convenient way, an affordable way, a quick way. So all you have to do is go online to the website, just tell us your child's ages, and we will send you a box with beautiful Black literature in it to affirm your child, to empower your child. And I'm a Black mum as well. It would have been reviewed, by a fellow mum like yourself, and you will get, good literature. So I thought, okay, let's just start with that.
Hello, all-nighters, and welcome to a special podcast episode of Pulling an All-Nighter, celebrating Black History Month. I'm Margaret.
And I'm Alice.
And we have a special guest called Keisha Ehigie, who is the founder of Imagine Me Stories. It is an award-winning monthly subscription box that provides high-quality Black children's literature for everybody, not just for Black children. It's for every child out there. Keisha, welcome.
So happy to be here.
Welcome to Pulling an All-Nighter. We are in awe of your your subscription box, everything. How did you start this subscription box?
Oh, thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for agreeing to come. Honestly, it's like celebrity in the building.
It is a celebrity in the building.
But I was inspired by my daughter, actually. So obviously I'm Nigerian. I grew up Nigerian. My mum is actually Jamaican, and I grew up in Nigeria. And obviously, Nigeria, we are the center of ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like the only country in Africa is Nigeria.
It's all about Nigeria in Nigeria. I didn't know I was Black till I came to the UK. I'm like, what is this on this form? Black, African? Okay, so there's no box for Nigerian here. So I came over here, got married, had my daughter, and when she was about 3, I noticed that she started making comments about her appearance and things like that. And by the way, my daughter loves books. She's a voracious reader, I think she started reading at 3, actually. And she started making comments about her appearance, like, oh, Mum, I want long blonde hair, and, Mum, I want peach skin. And I thought, oh, that's so cute. Where is that coming from? But then, I started to realize that obviously a lot of what she was exposed to was quite Eurocentric, the programs we were watching, the books she was reading. And, in my mind, up until that point, I was just like, just go out and get a load of good books. Alice in Wonderland, fairy tales, good books that we, grew up reading. Yeah. Everyone said your child should be reading. But I had to look at those books, and every single one of those books centered a white character in it. So our family was not reflected. My daughter was not reflected. And then I started to see things through her eyes, because obviously growing up in Nigeria, I never really thought about
you don't think about
representation, diversity, any of those, or how it might impact a child growing up. But, coming over here, I started to see it from her perspective. She's not the center of focus in the media. In books, it's something very different from what she looks like. So it's
not the center of focus in a positive
light. Exactly. So when she does become the center, typically there are stereotypes associated with Blackness when we do see it in the media. Exactly. So in her mind, if I'm going to be the hero, I'm going to be the princess, I'm going to be the one going on adventures or inventing things, I need to look like this. And that picture is white. So I thought, oh gosh, okay, missed the trick here. Let me just go out, get some lovely books, Afro-Caribbean books, books about African queens and stuff like that, and just really affirm my baby, right? Like, I'll just go to my local, high street bookshop and just get those books. Why haven't I got them? Went in there, and can you guess where the story is going?
For the camera, guys, there was nothing there. Tumbleweed, picture crickets.
Looking on the shelves, like, I don't understand. Where are the Black families in these books? So there was no representation there. And I thought, okay, this is a little bit alarming. And the statistics at the time actually showed that less than 1% of children's books published in the UK featured a Black main character. 100 books that you buy, you'd be lucky if one has a Black main character. So this 2019, I'm not talking about the 60s.
think, oh, it's 1980, maybe 1990. No, this is current.
Clearly this isn't great. If this is happening to me and my family, I can imagine a similar, narratives and discussions that are happening in other families. Sure enough, I was talking to my friends and they're like, yeah, my daughter wants their hair to be straight. And it's not stopping the older the child gets. Maybe by the time they get to 8, they'll be like, oh no, actually I really do love myself. No, it's even getting worse.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, no, we need to kind of stop this because, growing up in Nigeria, I was always told that I was special, I was great. Everyone I know comes from royalty. Like,
Everyone's a queen. Everyone's a princess.
No, I believe that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But then also your name affirms it as well, because obviously with Yoruba names, they've got so much power and thought that's put into them as well, that they've got meaning behind them. And half the time it does mean I am destined for greatness. I am a queen. And I'm this and I'm that. So even with our names, they carry so much weight, right? Yeah. So you're around that in Nigeria, so it's standard. That's why
it's standard to say. Why would you not? Like, how do you not know you're great?
Yes.
It's very intentional. So I kind of took for granted that just by me being Nigerian and my husband being Nigerian, that my daughter would get that.
Yeah.
That she also is great. But no, it's not enough for your parents to be affirming you. You also need to be affirmed. In the media, you're going to have a friendship group. Are your friends affirming you? You're going to watch TV. The way you're portrayed on TV, or people who look like you're portrayed on TV, is going to impact the way you see yourself in society. And then, more importantly, books, because books is how we teach children and how they learn, so that you're forming your first words through reading books. Your imagination is stimulated through books. So what happens when the narrative in those, first of all, you're invisible in books. So society's already telling you that you're not important enough for us to even tell your stories. Or when you are reflected in books, it's usually from a standpoint of trauma or pain or negative stereotype.
You're a bully.
You're angry. You're angry. You're big, strong, and angry. I'm having a bad day. And I'm black. Or look at all the things that have happened to me, or I've had to fight to be considered as an equal human to every other person. So that's all you're getting from books as a child in the UK, or probably in a lot of Western countries. And then the more I started to talk to people, a lot of people don't even know their history. Like, I'll be having conversations with people and they'll just say random things like, black people don't invent stuff. And this is coming from a fellow black person. It's not like we have. It's just little things like that. Like, there are no black architects. Like, these people do exist.
Yes.
The fact that you don't know about them, there is a gap somewhere. And you should, so I thought, how do I start to address this? What little thing can I do to just make this a little bit better? So I thought, let me start a subscription box. The existing books that have black characters that are out there, let me make it accessible to parents in a convenient way, an affordable way, a quick way. So all you have to do is go online to a website, just tell us your child's ages, and we will send you a box with beautiful black literature in it to affirm your child, to empower your child. And I'm a black mum as well. It would have been reviewed, by a fellow mum like yourself, and you will get, good literature. So I thought, okay, let's just start with that. But obviously, as I started to curate the books, I started to see a lot of gaps. All the things we were talking about. How come these books aren't talking about black inventors? How come the books that talk about black history start from the standpoint of slavery? They don't talk about all our rich history beforehand, all the good things that we're doing now, or just black people just being happy and like joy.
I've got a book, and it's so funny that you said joy, because I've got a book in my house that I bought when I've got 2 boys, and it's literally called Black Boy Joy. And I read it to them so often. So I was just like, joy, be black, have joy. This is what we should be talking about more. Because you don't get joy in books whenever you associate it with black books sometimes. You kind of miss that.
You're completely right. Normally when you think, black children's literature, you usually think it's kind of like a heavy topic and it's something a woman needs to sit down. We're going to have an important discussion at the end of it about what this means for us and what this means for you. And it's like,
for real.
For real. So it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. It could literally just be a child who has discovered a time machine in his garden.
Right.
Child just happened to do that. It doesn't have to be anything deep, like I'm
100%.
just that. It doesn't have to be social justice. Of course, it is so important that everybody knows. We need to know the mistakes that were made and are still being made so that we can correct them and not repeat them in the future. Yes, but that is not the sole purpose of diverse literature.
Imagination, just having an imagination, going on a journey, going on a fairy tale, just like you said, celebrating joy and innocence as well. That time of innocence where actually it's just about celebrating life and being you.
Yeah.
Right? So, like you said, it's not that deep.
Honestly, it's not that
I went on a rally.
Yeah, and then I had to, it was a big march and we all had tablets and skies and I stood up for my rights and, you know, it doesn't always have to be that way. There is a place for that, but there's also a place for just being a child. And I remember myself being a child and reading books, just being lost in the magic and the fantasy of it all. You know, it's like escapism. And, you know, I want that for every child. It shouldn't be different, because I'm Black or because we're reading about a Black family, then it really has to just be about Sojourner Truth or Martin Luther King. Yeah. You know, so.
And like I said, there is a place for that. There will always be a place for that. But also, it is wider. It is so broad. It is wide. It is deep. It's ingrained in every part of society. You know, we are not just binary. We are not one. We are so much more. And I think it's so important to celebrate that in books.
So I noticed the gap in books, and I thought, okay, if I wait for the books to catch up, then, you know, I'm going to be a yeah. I thought, you know, I'm going to have to just create my own, but I thought, okay, well, I'm not actually going to start publishing a book every month, am I? So I thought, let me just do Black history educational activity resources for them. So how the format happens is each month I think of a theme. So this month, for instance, it could be amazing Black composers, and I will spotlight 4 amazing composers who usually try to cover the UK, America, Africa, and the Caribbean. So there's just that roundness of representation, because a lot of times when we talk about Black history, it does tend to be more American, because they've done so much in that area, so it's more publicized, especially when you Google and stuff like it's usually American focused. But obviously things are happening in the UK, things are happening. So I do try to be intentional about the people that are featured in the activity packs. So so we center 3 or 4, you know, heroes in a particular theme, also to kind of trigger in children's minds that the definition of Black success doesn't just have to be, I don't know what the stereotypes, music or sport. Exactly. Or, you know, there are, if you like, you know, classical music, here are some, you know, composers. Yeah. Here are some in the past. Yeah. And here are some who are actually doing stuff now. And it's also important for white children to see that as well. So you've got so there's a little blurb, you know, about the heroes. I put a QR code which they can scan and watch an actual video about them. So it brings it to life, either them speaking or just something about their history, what they're doing. And then there's an activity, a fun activity there. So it's either, you know, join the dots or colour it in, or let's follow them on a maze and things like that. So the idea is, as you're completing the activity pack, you're also consciously learning about these people, and it's also affirming Black children is also opening the minds of white children from other communities. Like there's more than one form of greatness. Yeah. So that's how I started, and
you've put so much thought into this. Because obviously you could have just gone along the lines of it's just the book and just read the books, but the QR codes and the videos and things like that. I mean, just the amount of thought and detail that you put into that is so incredible that I'm going to actually go into just tooting your horn a little bit, just around all the awards that you have won. So I can't even remember everything. So I'm going to ask you to blow your trumpet yourself, because and also there's always something around, we have to be humble. No, sometimes don't be humble, and let's just sing the praises of everything that you've achieved. Because before you do that, how long ago did you start this?
So I officially launched in 2019.
Okay.
But then I incorporated the company in 2020. So depending on who's asking, 4 or 5 years. So Imagine Me Stories as a whole has, been it's about 5 years.
Yeah. So in the 4 or 5 years that you've been running, please let's get into all your achievements, please.
Oh. The most affirming thing that happened was, when I launched, I hadn't even shipped my first box yet, and I was still like second guessing myself, imposter syndrome, like what am I doing? I was heavily pregnant as well, so there were so many reasons why I shouldn't be doing this. It was a whole madness. And everyone was saying that when you launch a business, you should do a press release. So I did this press release. And then someone contacted me and they were like, "Oh, are you sure you shouldn't be contacting journalists, so that they can spread the word?" And I was like, "Which journalist am I going to?"
Give me the names then.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, yeah. I'll just go to my phone book and just call up." Yeah, should I be put ABC America? Who am I calling?
ABC America.
But then I started Googling, like, how do you even, get in touch with journalists? And someone said, "Oh, everyone's on Twitter, all the journalists are on Twitter." So I thought, okay, I'll just start following. There's a hashtag journal request. I'm giving people tips, actually.
I love it. Get your pen
If
out.
you're looking for PR and you want to do it yourself and you can't afford a PR agent, search the journal request hashtag on Twitter. So that's what journalists use when they're looking for stories. They'll say what their request is and then they'll use hashtag journal request. So I just did the hashtag journal request, and coincidentally, when I was launching was in September. So it was coming up to Black History Month. And there was this guy who said, "Oh, I'm looking for stories for Black History Month." So I contacted him, didn't expect to hear back. And he was like, "Okay, this is interesting. If you could let me know this, and if you can get a school, a family, a this and a that, then maybe we can have a story." And I was like, and then I looked at his handle and it was BBC. I was like, what? And I just remember,
Who is this guy? Big deal.
She's like, "Oh gosh, so I'm gonna have to put on this persona, this like Sasha Fierce persona, like I'm the business mogul." I was thinking, "Oh, okay, this is kind of serious." I need to get my act together. So he gave me a list of all the things like he would need if I was going to run a story. I was thinking, how am I gonna get these things? And the deadline was like 4 days from now. But I managed to find a school. I found some parents who were willing to go. So basically, it was supposed to be me going into a school, showing them my book's talking about the importance, talking about the statistics, lack of diversity, lack of representation for Black children and all of that. And then, the school will be reading the books and talking about the impact on them. And there'll be a parent also talking about So it was another journalist who was there. And she was like, "You must be really familiar with this. You've done this a lot of times. Just talk to us about your business." And I'm thinking, yeah, okay. So that was amazing. And that just really, I guess, affirmed to me the importance of what I was doing. And, every now and then I just go and I watch that BBC clip. That was my first ever clip. I could, in my mind, I just, I looked like I was way out of my depth. I could hear all the nerves in my voice. They were very kind and they didn't show my belly.
Headshots only.
Yeah, headshots, my puppy face. And it just, it really hit home to me that, okay, this is actually important. You really should do this. And yes, it's scary. And yes, you might feel out of your depth. But I guess everyone who does something, that they start off feeling that way. And as you go along, you just figure it out. So to your point, that was for me, that was when I knew, okay, this is something. And then because I kind of understood now how to reach out to journalists, I started reaching out to more. And then I got Forbes, which was wild. Yeah, so I reached out to Forbes journalist and she read my email for whatever reason, said yes to something that I would like to write about. So that was very validating. And that really just helped to, I guess, to show that Imagine Me Stories was a serious business. It helped to validate me to my subscribers. It just lent a lot of gravity to the work that I was doing. Because it's a very important message, and it's not about me or my business, etc. kids are growing up. Like, it's a really serious issue.
Absolutely.
And I feel like sometimes people are not taking it serious enough. Like, your child needs to see themselves in what they are reading.
Yeah.
And, you know, the publishing industry is not going to do that for you. Schools are not going to do that for you. You need to take that into your own hands and ensure that your child is being affirmed, because you're not really going to get it anywhere else. And it's not enough for you to just say it. They need to be reading it. They need to be surrounded by that positive affirmation.
And it's also not a one-time hit thing. This not
It's
just
consistent.
that's the word. That's what I'm looking for. It's not. It has to be consistent, because I think there's sometimes, like Black History Month, it happens once a month. Okay, but this is 12 months in a year that you have to keep reinforcing and reminding your child and your children about themselves and reaffirming everything as well. It's not just this 1 month that we have to do it.
Exactly.
And I think that's what is so important about your box as well, in that actually it's all the time. We're not just saying this is a one-off subscribe and then you just get a book here and there and then we're never going to do it. This is actually there's always going to be good quality books in there every time that you do it.
Yeah.
So we're talking about your achievements and your accolades and things like that.
Yes. So so got featured in Forbes, which was very validating. And then I started to get awards. Well, I started to apply for awards. And I won the Great British Entrepreneur Award.
Congratulations.
The Entrepreneur for Good category. Which it was so weird, because when I got that award, I was at a really low point where I'm sure you've all, anyone who has kids has tried to do anything apart from the great thing. Go to work, just live your life. Anything in addition to that can be very overwhelming. So, like, starting a business, and you have to remember, obviously, I was pregnant when I started the business, so I gave birth running the business. So it's like, having now 2 children, and it's a subscription box. So every single month, those boxes have to go out. And I'm not about this, oh, sorry, they were late this month. Business. No, you're going to get your boxes. When I told you to get your boxes, I don't care what has to happen. So there's a lot of pushing myself too hard, I will admit. So it did get to a point where I was really run down. And when I applied for the award, I didn't really think I was going to get it. It was just kind of like a distraction from my day-to-day work. And then I got a message to say, oh, you've been shortlisted. And I thought, this is fantastic. I'm probably not going to get some. But thank you. At least, that's given me a boost to my day. And I remember 2 weeks to the event, they called me up and they were like, oh, goodness, you've not got a ticket. Are you coming? Like, what is going on? And I thought, I'm not sure I could make it. And I was like, assuming you, I really think you should come.
You have to come, but you should come.
And I was thinking, okay. Just go, Keisha. It'll be a good day out. Just get your act together and go. And I remember I was sitting at the table with the other contestants. I didn't know anyone there. I was actually really tired as well.
As a mum, I'm on autopilot.
And you're probably thinking, did I make sure the kids had food? Did my husband know where they sleep? Are the kids now going to sleep?
Looking at orders on the phone. I sorted out the activity pack for this month, but my mind is like
everywhere.
I just want to kind of sleep. I can't remember the last time I was out past 5 p.m. And they were calling the categories, and I was already filming like other people, because I was like, oh, what are you going to win? I want to send you the video when they call your name so that you can have it. Like, that's and they put the names. So I was, filming, and then they were like, oh, Keisha Ehigie, maternity stories, and I was like, wait, what? What? And honestly, I was in shock throughout. I think you could probably, if you look at the pictures, it's just like,
like, what's going on?
Yeah, it was amazing. I think that's the highest award I've won. And for me, I'm a Christian. I felt like it was God just telling me that what you're doing matters. Be kind to yourself.
Yes.
It's important, but just, take it easy and keep up the good work. But also, just it's okay to just enjoy the moment. Take the time for yourself. Don't focus on everything you're doing wrong. You're actually doing a lot of things that are right. you're actually doing things that are right. They're making an impact and everything. Stop being so hard. I feel like, especially as mums, female entrepreneurs, we're so hard on ourselves.
Biggest critic.
It's very hard to enjoy things.
Yeah.
Like when you win something, you always want to say, I got this, but I need to do this.
Mm.
So it's very hard to be in the moment. So that kind of helped bring me back a bit. So yeah, that was it was good. But it took me a long period to actually accept that I had won the award. I definitely wasn't in the moment while it was happening.
Where do you keep your awards? This is what I want to know. Where are your awards sitting?
Oh Lord.
So okay, okay.
Well, to be fair, okay, no. I have a makeup table. They are there.
Beautiful.
They are
okay,
there.
okay.
So they're on my makeup table. Yeah, and it was my husband that put it there because he was so fed up with it. It was like in the bag that it was in the box to the awards because I hardly ever go out, so I was hardly ever using the bag. So it was just there. One man just got sick of it. I was like, what is this here? I came into the room one day, he had put it nicely. Like,
love a proactive husband.
So that was really sweet. I don't know. I find it hard to accept praise as well. I don't know if you.
I get it. Yeah. But so that's why we're here today, because we're going to give you lots of.
Yeah, but I get what you mean, in that it is hard to accept praise and to hear it of yourself. But then we always try and pour it on our children, and we're always like, "You're fantastic. You're brilliant." And then when someone says it to us, it's a bit like, "Oh, stop! No, oh, stop it." And it is a bit embarrassing and a bit. You feel a bit shy, but that's what, like Mama said, that's why we're here to be like, your horn, because you're absolutely amazing.
You make it sound so easy, though.
Yeah,
you make it sound so easy, and I don't think it was an easy thing. I think, first of all, coming up with the concept, actually, as you said, I looked at your Instagram, sitting in your kitchen, packing each box. You must have been working night and day. You say it was quite hard, but as an entrepreneur, female entrepreneur, tell us what the challenges were and how you overcame those. It's not easy.
Can I also add, at one point you were also working an actual job, 9 to 5. Yeah. So, how?
I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of, what should I say, mental strength. I mean, I've got my faith, so I lean on God a lot, way more running this business than I ever did when I was just working my 9 to 5. Because it is really hard, and you do put a lot of pressure on yourself. And I think the added element of this is actually impacting children. Doesn't allow me to switch off. But now it's like, oh no, we need to get this done. You can eat later. And then after a while you realize, oh, I haven't eaten in hours. Yeah, I'm snacking, or I'm standing eating, I'm eating the children's leftovers, or you form bad habits. Or I can't remember the last time I actually left my house, if not to go to the post office. Or I can't remember the last time I got dressed up. And then I can't remember the last time starts to get longer and longer. So there is that constant pressure. That's why I say self-care is so important for entrepreneurs, for women, for moms, for anyone who's doing something hard. You do need to be kind to yourself. It is okay to take a break. And now I start asking myself, okay, so if this thing doesn't get done by X time, what is the worst that can happen? Right? Okay, so I think you can eat. I think you can eat. And you're not a bad person, you're not a bad businesswoman, you're not, everyone makes mistakes, everyone is struggling, everyone's gonna have a hard day. Because you didn't hit this target doesn't mean you're a failure. Allow yourself to just be a human being, because if you don't, you're not going to be doing it very long, because your body will actually just stop. If you stop listening to your body's going to start telling you what you need to do.
And that self-talk in your head as well will completely turn against you as well, because then sometimes you have to make it go quiet and let God speak for you instead as well, because sometimes you do let those negative words come in and you're just like, actually, that's not God speaking, that's something else. So let me park that and focus on, this is what my direction is meant to be. It's hard.
Very hard.
Very hard. But it's that mental and that physical that can really get you. It's really hard. And you mentioned your husband before. How does that dynamic work with the two of you? Do you have to pull him in and just say, babe, I just need you to do a bit? Or is he like, okay, I've got the kids while you do that? How does that work in your household?
I will say I have the most supportive husband. Honestly, he's been absolutely amazing. I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without him, especially with the kids. It would have just been impossible. So he can kind of see like when I am really busy and stressed out with stuff, whatever. I don't have to tell him. He'll just make sure the kids are okay.
Love a husband that can just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Just know and do, man.
I don't have to. Yeah, yes, I think we have a good. I don't know if it's a silent communication, but we kind of understand when someone needs more support, and then we step in without the person. Because sometimes when you need support, you don't even have the energy to say I need support. Sometimes you don't even know you need support. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't even know. So it's like, okay, see that, she didn't go to bed till X amount of time, last night, and she's already up. And she probably hasn't eaten, and she looks really different. Maybe now's not the time for her to be doing the school run and stuff like that. I'm going to step in, and I'll just engage just as I'm taking the kids. He's not telling me, I'm doing this because I see you stressed.
Yeah.
But I know.
Yeah.
And it's also like for me to not take that for granted. Mm-hmm. I saw what you did there. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of times it's until like 2 weeks later. So actually, on Monday was really nice.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for stepping up, but it's, I guess at marriage you get better at these things. But it's like, actually, you helped me then. You didn't say it, but you did. So thank you for doing that. So he has been really supportive in the hellish days when I used to fulfill all the orders myself at home, which I will not recommend. I don't know what I was thinking.
But I guess these are the challenges that you overcome now, right? So the lessons.
Man, I should have moved to a fulfillment centre, I think. From the point when we had 100 subscribers, I think that is the point. I think if you're packing more than 100 boxes at a time, I think you should get someone to help you with that. Now that I'm saying it, it sounds logical. But there was a time I was doing 400.
Oh my God. But I can understand if you're running a business and your business starts growing and you are just there doing it, it becomes 10 boxes, then 20 boxes, then 100 boxes. And I'm guessing at that point, you are so into your business, you actually sometimes probably need to take a step back. And you need to say, okay, let me just review how this is going. But 100 subscribers, how did you feel when you got to 100? Or were you like, you got to 100 and you were like, okay, just keep moving? How did you appreciate it? Did you appreciate it?
Did you enjoy the moment?
I definitely enjoyed the moment.
Actually.
Yeah.
Did you say, oh my God, how did you celebrate that? Did you celebrate that?
I don't know if I celebrated it because I didn't have the time.
I'm backing boxes.
I celebrated it mentally. It's like, okay, you need to have this subscribers, but then the flip side's like, you're going to wait soon for what they ordered. So, I don't have the time. Like, this is the thing, if you're like a big team and you're just looking at your stats, you're like, oh wow, we did 100. Oh, to tell the fulfillment team that they need to get on it. But you're the one doing it all, so you don't even have time. Just like in your mind, you're like, oh, thank God, well, something's working.
Yeah.
No, I need to get my action. It just adds more pressure. So you're right. Maybe that's why, as they started to grow, I didn't really realize just how ridiculous it was. I was doing in our house, in our kitchen, like books everywhere. Thankfully, we had a loft, so all the packaging, so like boxes like this, which I had to order 1,000 at a time. They came in massive packets. My poor husband, he'd be there like with the massive pallets, like sweating, carrying it up, putting in the loft, and then when it's time to pack, I'll go climb up the ladder, go to the office, start like dropping boxes down, then take it to the kitchen, and then all the activity packs. There was a point when I used to print them at home on my printer again. What was I thinking? That was the whole.
You were an entrepreneur. And this is what it takes. Anyone who's in that, this is what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Everything that you have just explained. And it's the grit, it's the determination, it's the working around, it's the logistics, it's all of that. that it takes to do what you do and get to where you are now and beyond. And I guess my question is, your daughter, how has this is why you did it. What influence has it had on your daughter?
Well, I think it's definitely had a very positive impact on her. I mean, first of all, just her reading. That girl loves a book.
Yeah, just like her mum.
Yeah. But she loves to read, and it helps when you are surrounded by books. See your parents read. I don't know, I don't really know which ones to read, to be honest, but it does. I think the business really helped in terms of her literacy, because and before I feature a book, I will read it to her to see what her response is, just to see, because sometimes reviewing it yourself, you don't really appreciate the direction in which the book is going until you start to have that interaction with an actual child, and you're like, this is actually a really solid book. I'm going to make sure I feature this book this month. So we read a lot of books organically that way. And then obviously she's there in the chaos and the madness of packing the boxes and doing all of that, and sometimes she helps. And we featured her on some of our adverts. She does the voiceovers and things like that. So I think it's really inspiring for her. It's quite exciting. And I just hope, above all else, it shows that, whatever she decides she wants to do, but I just want her to have that mindset that you can actually do anything. The number one limitation is usually up here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't environmental factors. There always will be, but you'd be surprised how much that mental determination to do something, how far you can go and what you can actually achieve. And I'm hoping she can see that, like, with all the limitations and all the mess and all the chaos, we're still getting through it.
Yeah.
So she can see that as well and apply that to whatever area she wants to apply in life. So yeah, I would say it's been really different. I have a son as well. And he's 4 now, and yeah, he loves the book as well. So it's a whole big, I guess, entrepreneurial, chaotic family.
And how many subscribers do you have now? And then my bigger question is the influence and the reach that you have. You are changing lives on a daily basis, which was always your objective. So how do you see the change that you make? Because I know that you were saying sometimes subscribers send you videos and pictures and they share their stories. So yeah, how do you receive that, and how is it going, and what change have you seen?
So in terms of subscription numbers, obviously it ebbs and flows depending on the season of the year and whatnot, but we're between 500 to 600 at the moment. I'm also working a lot with schools as well, because you can have a wider impact on just the numbers. So I'm really keen to help schools diversify their libraries. I always say I've got the best subscribers in the world.
Yeah.
It almost feels like they're my family. Like everyone, it just feels like they're rooting for me.
You are such a personable person, and you've got so much passion in a box that it's so easy to root for you. Yeah, incredibly. Very.
So they're lovely. Like, I don't even need to. I mean, we do send our requests like, please send your videos and your pictures and things like that. But organically, they do share those things. Someone just posted yesterday their baby. We get so many baby subscribers, you wouldn't imagine. I remember the first time I was even almost surprised. We do boxes from 0 to 12. I'm always surprised when someone, literally just had a baby. It's like a 2-month-old. Already subscribed. It's like, oh, this is so fantastic. That child is going to be, flying. Yeah. So the subscriber sent me this video of their baby. I don't think she was up to 1. And she's just holding the book. She's not even got to the book yet. And she's zoned in on the little girl with the crown thing on the throne reading the book. So I was very intentional about the packaging. Yeah. And she's just looking at it. Like, her face all the way up close, and she's touching the girl. And, things like, when you're having a bad day, you just see that. You're like, what? It just gives you a bit of energy. It's like, oh man, so important. Yeah. We do reviews as well. We've got loads of reviews on our website where people feedback. And the interesting thing about the reviews is it's not just the children. the parents,
Yeah.
they always come back to me and say how much they're learning from the activity packs. Like, oh, I didn't know that, this inventor, did this, or I didn't know this, about these queens or these kings. I didn't know this about Ghana. I try and do culture as well as careers. And it's just it's like the whole family is growing and learning about their heritage. We should all know, about where we come from.
Yeah.
We all know about people who are doing fantastic things that look like us.
Absolutely.
You can't rely on the government,
No, the media,
or schools
yeah.
to tell us these things. We have to find it out for ourselves. And I'm trying to just make it easy for people through this books, and it's just amazing seeing the impact that's actually having on even the parents' self-esteem.
Yeah. You've spoken about your family network, so in terms of your husband and your children. Tell us about your upbringing. What did that look like? And were you a ferocious reader as well? Were you really into your books and things? And is that also kind of inspired the book as well? Obviously, you spoke about your daughter inspiring it, but did that add to it as well?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in Nigeria. My parents separated when I was probably about 7 or 8. And my dad brought me up. So I grew up with the single dad, very, very unconventional, especially in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So just me and him.
Beautiful. Are you a proper daddy's girl?
Of course. It's my picture in the dictionary. We were like this. And he was ridiculously affirming, very affirming. Like, my dad would call me and sing to me. He would talk to me about my name. Do you know why? Because he called me Imina, which is the name I've actually given my daughter. And it means my dream has come true. And he'd talk about, how his dream came true. That was very, very affirming. Everything I did was amazing. So I just wanted to please him. I wanted to be the best I could be.
Yeah.
To live up to how he saw me. Exactly. So, when you grow up as a child, you imagine that that's how it is for every child. Yeah, exactly. So he kind of made up for the fact, it was unconventional. I didn't grow up with my mum. So I guess he probably felt like he needed to be all the role.
Yeah.
No siblings as well, as an only child. So, books, loved reading.
Yeah.
So many books. But again, growing up, and Nigeria's, colonial.
Yeah.
A product of colonialism. So, I wasn't growing up reading, all the amazing Black writers you've got now, like Atinuke, and, you didn't have that. I was reading Mallory Towns, I was reading, Francine Rivers, and things
The
like
famous
that.
5 books.
Famous 5,
Yeah, absolutely.
all of that. And I really enjoyed it. It was escapism. And like I said, in Nigeria, you don't think you're Black. So it's almost like an escape. So actually, let's see what British children do. Oh, yeah, they eating strawberries. They have their hair in a ponytail. They go, they go to the beach and things like that. So it was, books were escapism for me. But I can never forget when I when I started secondary school and we started doing English literature, and we had to read The Concubine by Elechi Amadi.
Okay.
It is honestly, if you've not started reading African classical literature, start
now. Start yesterday. Start right now, everybody.
Start now. That's what opened my eyes to, oh wow, these people are talking about me, my stuff, like things like eating pounded yam with soup and using your hands to move the meat to the side so that you can get to the fish. And this was all being described in books, and it was like, oh,
this is my house.
This is my house. Yeah. I was like, okay, stop Mallory Towers. There's something about, being seen in a book. That's my first core memory of reading a book that reflected my culture and things that were happening around me. And they're talking about yam and they're using words like wahala and things like that. It's just my everyday culture. And it never really left me since then. So when I started imagining stories, I kind of tuned into that. Like it can be so powerful to read a book that's actually affirming you. I mean, I'm not saying that Black children should read exclusively Black books. Of course not. Of course not. But at the other perspective, either everyone should be reading diverse books. Everyone should have a range. You should be able to appreciate a range of books. You should be exposed, and you should have the choice
Yeah.
So when the books are laid before you, these are the good books. It shouldn't just be one narrative or one type of author, or one person's experience. There should be a range of experiences there, and that's what stimulates your mind, stimulates your exposure, stimulates your creativity. It's like, okay, nice. Okay, people in Nigeria, this is how they do this. You know, maybe next time I'm in that board meeting, I can have a different approach and things like that. So yeah, books were a very cool part of me. You know, my childhood growing up, I still love books very much. I'm sad that I don't have as much time now to really read as much as I would want to, but it's just a season. Now I listen to audiobooks. That's
You've got to, because you're on the move, you're walking, you're talking.
it's tough, but you have to find the right one.
I love, but you're right. So with audiobooks, you've got to find someone who's reading it that you like their voice as well.
Yeah.
But you can do a multitude of things while you're having an audiobook, can't you? You're
Yeah.
on the move, you're in the car, you're running, you're jogging, you're walking, you're preparing lunch.
You have to find the right book. I mean, I started with Trevor Noah, Born a Crime.
I love that.
That was my introduction into audiobooks because I'm quite cynical. People are like, oh, I need to hold it. But then I miss reading.
Yeah.
And I know I'm just not gonna. The only time I get to actually read a book is if I'm sat on a train going somewhere long distance, and that happens maybe 3 or 4 times a year. So, well, are we gonna read or what? Okay, let's try this audiobook. Because I already like podcasts, so it feels like a natural transition. I'm obsessed with podcasts. So I thought, okay, let's do an audiobook. And I love Trevor Noah. I love the way he talks. You know, he's got this whole like storytelling. And I mean, Trevor Noah is he's a cool guy. He's very interesting.
You know what? He is one of my all-time favorite people. He used to do the Daily Show, which he doesn't do anymore, and I think it's a crime that he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But he now has his own podcast, which I listen to as well. And you're right, it's the storytelling, it's his humour as well, and you can make something light that is so deep,
And serious.
but you can find the comedy in it, but it still gets that point across. But I'm deadly serious. This is a terrible injustice or whatever it is. I could listen to that man for days. We saw him live as well.
Live.
He was really good. That's how much we would love that man.
So you should definitely. Okay, you've read the book already.
I've read the book. But I've actually done another book on audio as well, actually. So let me start there. Let me start with Trevor Noah.
Definitely.
Let me start.
Enjoy it. I do think he's got another book.
Definitely.
Oh, it has already.
Okay.
I think I heard him talk about it on Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
He's got another book. But yeah, that was amazing. And also like the South African culture. I love books that introduced me to a culture that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, South Africa's very proud about, you know, their languages.
Yeah.
Always comes through. So, you know, listening to that from Trevor Noah's perspective. So that if you want to be inducted into the audio book,
I'll start there. He is safe. I'll start there. So speaking of books, then, will you ever be writing your own book? So you're reading other people's books, you're putting them in the packs and sending them out subscription and stuff. Is it on the horizon for you to actually ever write your own book?
Before you answer that, I think you should, and I hope that doesn't influence your response.
I absolutely think you should.
Based on the fact that we think you should.
Right? There is no wrong answer.
People to buy my
Get the audio version as well.
Exactly.
We're rating it.
100%.
Oh my god! No, I totally want to write a book because from doing this, I've seen the gaps that there are. And yes, I'm really hoping that next year will be the year.
That's soon.
That at least I start the journey. I don't know whether it will be launched, but I'm really hoping the next year will.
Can we come to the book launch?
Oh my God! Of course, of course, we can come to the book launch.
Thank you. I'm already there. I'm there. I'm sold.
I really, really would love to. Where I see Imaginary Stories going, and arm of that is actually a publishing arm. They're actually just doing, because I really don't like being reliant on people. And the more I see, the more I've been doing this, the more I'm seeing the issues and what's actually causing this lack of diversity in the books we're getting. And it's a lot of gatekeeping. And I think if we are able to just take control about own stories and start putting them out there, or obviously using insight into, okay, what actually makes a book successful? And then we plug that into, okay, how do we tell our stories, but successfully?
Yeah.
I think if we can combine those two things, it will be phenomenal. We need to, we need our own agency. But there are a lot of reasons why that isn't happening.
Absolutely.
But we will get there. But that's definitely something that I see Imaginary Stories championing in the future.
You are a trailblazer. You are a trailblazer. You are so humble as well. You just talk about it so relaxed and free, casually, not realizing you are transforming world. And I think you touched on it briefly. So I just wanted you to expand on what has Imagine These Stories revealed to you, showed you. What have you learned about the industry, society, children, and being so close to it? What are your big things that you've observed that you want to talk about or share?
Yeah, so I mean, I do a lot of work with, I guess, the sales arm of publishing. So, in order to, if there's a book being published that features a black character in the UK, and it's, and it's a children's book, I know about it. Yeah, since I've now established contacts with most of the major publishers in the UK, and I'm constantly talking to them, and every now and then I ask, like, what is actually the reason why there are so few of these? And another dynamic I've seen, which is more predominant in the UK than it is in the US, is when you do get a book that is diverse.
It's
not actually written by someone from that. So, for instance, you get a book featuring a black family, doesn't necessarily mean that it is a black author. And that is okay. Obviously, as an author, it's about creativity. Yeah. But where it's an issue for me is why is it most of the books are this way? So that means you're not actually even letting people from ethnic minority backgrounds write the book. Yeah. What is stopping them from writing these books? Because I'm at the point now where I can literally tell, if you pass me a book, I can tell whether it was authored or illustrated by a black person or not. That's incredible. It doesn't make it a good book or a bad book, but there's a difference. Yeah. There's a difference, and I think that impacts on the diversity. So when you start to actually look, okay, let's even look at the books that have been published that have diverse characters in there. How many of them actually feature people who are talking about their lived experiences? That brings the number way lower, because it's not enough to just tell a story and then get an illustrator to shade the characters a little bit darker skin. Yeah. That could still be a fun story, and the child could still pick it up and get some level of representation from it. But it's very different if it's a Jamaican author saying, this is what it was. This is exactly. This is my first this is my first experience of eating, rice and peas and curry goat. This is how my grandma used to make it. It's a much richer story from a cultural perspective. Yeah. So it's like, what is the problem? And when I went to the British Book Fair last year, was it this year? I forget now. But yeah, that was a little bit of a disappointing experience, because I could not. I knew, when you know what it's going to be like, but then you're still disappointed. Oh, yeah.
You have the hope, and you're like, no, I'm going to go strong, and I'm going to.
Yeah. Let me not be negative. Let me go in, and I'll be blown away.
They had publishers from all around the world. Yeah. So first of all, I was disappointed because I could not find the Caribbean or the African. Yeah. There was none. Unless I missed it. Apologies if I missed. Maybe it was hidden away somewhere in the basement.
We're not apologising. We can't apologise, because it should have been prominent. It should have been
around. I was exhausted because that place was big. And I could not find any. I could not find a place where, this standard needs to be specialised. Yeah. So there was none of that. So that was the first issue. And then, the prominent publishers that we all know, what do you have in terms of books that feature diverse characters? And it's really slim pickings. If you're lucky, there's one we're working on this year. So out of the 500 books, or whatever that you're doing, there's one. And then you'd be lucky if it even, has a black author or black illustrator behind it, which touches on the cultural representation. I'm at that point now where I'm actually hungry for those cultural books. Like, I want children to, there's only so much I can do with these activity packs. I want, the books. So there is a big gap. So that's something I'm seeing. And obviously, on the other end, I'm getting loads of self-published authors in my inbox nearly every day.
That's amazing.
That is amazing, but it is also very sad.
Yes.
Because they are not. So the publishers can't, or the publishing industry can't say, oh no, the authors just aren't there. We just can't find ethnic minority authors. We just can't find anything. No,
They're just not doing
You're not. They're not getting in there. And I spoke to a couple of publishers, like, why? Because because when your book is self-published, a book is almost like a business on its own. The amount of work and effort that needs to go into not just producing the book, but then marketing it is phenomenal. And you're just not going to be able to compete with a book that has come from Penguin or Macmillan or whatever. You're not going to compete. So it's like, but if the majority of our stories are limited to us having to self-publish, I think it's doing us as a community a disservice. It's doing us a disservice. It's putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on people to, meet, because people like me, they're seeing the lack of representation. They want to do something about it. And they probably tried to get a literary agent. I don't know what the statistics are, but I hazard a guess. Most of the literary agents are white. They're used to white stories. They're used to pandering to a white audience. So if they see you're coming here and you're black and you're talking about a goosey soup, they're like, what is this?
What's this?
So for instance, a mainstream publisher, now that they're also seeing these statistics about lack of diversity, and they say, no, we want to do something about it. I feel like a lot of them, instead of saying, okay, who from the Black community, which prominent Black authors can we get to come and start writing books? They're just like, no, we're just going to get our regular white author who we trust to write a book, and then we get an illustrator to just shade them a dot. That is what I'm seeing happen a lot. We're like, well, we do have books that have Black characters, and this clearly features, a Black character or an Asian character. Okay, but where's the depth to that? Where's the cultural aspect to that? You're still. Is it really diverse? Or is it just a good book that the characters have been shaded? I'm not saying that it's not a good book, but it's not really addressing. So that I find it happens less in the US. In the US, if I find a book with features a Black family in it, 9 out of 10 times it also has a Black author, and they are on it. They're on it. You can feel it.
But it reminds me of a lot of work that is trying to be done just around actually trying to get, for example, in the TV world, trying to get more Black characters in front of the camera, but actually behind the scenes as well. So actually as the directors and the writers and everything else, and it's literally mirror for mirror in what you're saying as well. In that actually it's not just around the characters in the book, it's who is actually writing the book as well.
However, the positives that I have to say is you are changing that by the research that you're doing. Tell us about this research.
Oh yes, actually.
Sitting back, because Keisha never sits back, obviously. You're not just sitting back, you're not just observing, you're not just taking it in, but you're actually now researching, and I think that's such a strong position. So tell us about this bit of work that you're doing.
So in 2021, I believe, Imaginary Stories collaborated with Manchester University to do research into the state of diversity in primary school libraries, because I just wanted to see how bad it was. I could see what it was in the publishing industry, thanks to the CLP, Centre for Literacy and Primary Education. That's where we got the statistics that showed us in 2019 that less than 1% of children's books published featured a Black main character, which was shocking and really, spurred a lot of people to start taking action. So on the back of that, I wanted to see, okay, what's happening at schools? Because if a school, the 1% of books, I think it's now 3.5% feature a Black main character. Are schools getting these books? Do they have them in their libraries? Are they making they're consciously, are they empowered to even source diverse books? So, embarked on this study with Manchester University. That's incredible. And it is incredible. It was also quite shocking, the statistics that came out. So, out of all the schools that we surveyed, do you want to hazard a guess to what percentage said that their libraries were not diverse?
Oh, how many said their libraries were not diverse?
So this is them admitting that they're not. They know that they're not. Okay. I'm
going to say they are completely unaware. And I'm saying like 10%.
Okay.
I was going to say about 40.
40%.
Yeah.
So 40%. 92%.
They actually just like, we know this is an issue.
And it's a real issue, and it's not. And this is not blaming schools, because I've worked with so many schools. They want to change this, but they're not equipped and they're not empowered.
Yeah.
They don't have the resources to take. The same way we are struggling to find these books, you can imagine as a school. Yes, and it's also the authenticity. The common theme in schools. So if I go to a school today and I say, "Oh, do you have any diverse books?" I can guarantee you they'll be like, "Yeah, we've got Hand Surprise."
No. We know Hand Surprise very well from my child's nursery. Yes.
You know, first of all, Hand Surprise was written what, 40 years ago? That's what a lot of schools are holding on to.
Yeah.
As they, I mean, and to be fair to them, they're overworked. You know, they've limited resources, limited budget. You know, some schools don't even have a library.
Yeah.
So if you then want to start looking into, how diverse are these libraries? Like, we're trying to get a library and get books. Exactly. So it was dire, and then seeing those statistics is really okay, this is a real problem. What can I do to help schools make it? What are the challenges that they're currently facing that's stopping them from getting these books? How do I just make it easier for them? So that started, that informed my journey with working with schools. And then more recently, had the opportunity to collaborate with Manchester University again in addition to the British Academy. And now what we're looking into is the impact that representative literature has on Black children's self-esteem. So we're starting that off with 6 to 7 year olds. So it's almost like a study. They'll be given a book, and then we'll just be monitoring, like, if there are any improved, levels of like how you see yourself and things like that. So that's what we're currently working on. And so if anyone's actually interested in participating in this study, your child will get 6 free books, I believe. And I mean, it should be a fun experience for you as a family to sit down, read a really good book. And at the end, you just need to fill out a questionnaire. And that would really help us so that we have the statistics to support the important work we're doing. I know it's having an impact.
Yeah.
But there is something about having an authoritative body saying, we've done this research, and we can actually back it by our findings to show this is having an impact, and this is why you should support us in this way. So that's what we're doing.
If you have a 6 to 7 year old, Malachi is 6, and I've signed Malachi up for this as well. So if anyone else has a 6 to 7 year old, please. How do they get in contact if they want to do it? What would they do?
So that they need to send an email.
We will provide that above here, but also in the link as well. So contact us. So last question before we go into our quick fire round. What is next for Imagine Me Stories? And you can talk about maybe 5 years' time, 100 years' time, 10 years' time. What is next, and where's the vision going?
Yeah.
So what I've identified in Imagine Me Stories, the core issues we're trying to address, they impact 3 areas. So first of all, it's parents, families of black children, ethnic minority children struggling to see themselves in books. I'm thinking, how can Imagine Me Stories do that better? And I'm looking into how we can use technology to solve that issue further. So when you land on our website, you just have to literally tell us what your cultural background is and the age of your child and their interest, and we will customize book packages to you each month that are personalized and catered to your child and their needs and their heritage, while also exposing them to wider things and catering to their interests, and it will grow with them as they get older. That's where I see Imagine Me Stories solving that issue for parents and families and children. In terms of schools, I've already started working with schools to help them diversify their library. We've got a library diversification program in which we cater to the school's unique demographic. We assess their library gaps, and we also assess their curriculum needs and their budget. So they're getting the books, they're meeting their actual, so there are no excuses anymore. You come to say the day. Your library will be diverse by the end of it. So in terms of imaginary stories and our plans for that, I see us scaling that out and working in partnership with the government. So it's just, I think it's essential. It's not a nice to have.
No, yeah.
It is essential that children see themselves in books.
And do you approach the schools directly with that, or do you? Yeah, is that something that you go to directly to the school?
So how it started at first was I just used to get loads of teachers and head teachers in my inbox saying, "Oh, can you help us?" And also hospitals as well, because they've got libraries.
Yeah.
I used to get loads of them in my inbox, so I just used to reactively then, send books to them. But then after we did the research with Manchester University, I thought that was really bad. So we started off with London schools. So I approached literally every single school in London and said, I'm here to help you. And the way I did it was we gave them like a taster pack. Like, this is what you're like, this is the impact that you could be having on your children. Like a sample, box, just enjoy it, for a month, see how you feel. And then we can have a chat afterwards as to how we can make this.
I love that. It's like the softness of take it, come back to us.
Yeah, come back to us. And then afterwards having like an in-depth conversation. Okay, this is where we're struggling in our library. These are the kind of children we have. Because you have some schools where they almost exclusively have Black children, or almost exclusively have Bengali children.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are your children thanks? Because if a child is not enjoying reading, that child, you're really impacting on that child's future potential. So if they're not getting that joy out of books for whatever reason, you're not meeting your goals as a school. So if you've got a large demographic, so this is even just schools that have a large demographic of ethnic minority children, which is commonplace in London. But then on the flip side, if you've got schools that aren't diverse at all, and your children are reading books that are very one track, they're not exposed to the richness of cultures, other ways of doing things. Absolutely. So are these children going to be adequately prepared?
Yeah, they will not be. And that's a topic, sorry everybody, that is a topic for when Keisha comes back.
Yeah.
That is a whole other topic for us to discuss. But as you were saying,
schools are very conscious about this. Obviously, they have their own limitations. They have a lot of things that they have to do. So it's like, I'm coming in, don't worry, I'll take care of this for you. What budget have you set aside for books? I can work with you within that budget to ensure that all the children you're setting feel seen. You don't have to worry going on, Amazon or looking for or Googling top ethnic books. In 2024 and all of that. The results are going to be poor. And the results, you don't know what you're going to be getting.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to be getting. I've already done that. I review all our books. So imaginary stories, that's where I see us, working with schools, partnering with the government to actually ensure this is something that is possibly even legislated.
Yeah.
Because it is so important. And then finally, the other area that I feel that there is a serious issue is, like I mentioned, the gatekeeping. So us telling our own stories. And, ethnic minority authors, Black authors, Black illustrators not being able to penetrate mainstream publishing. So the way I see imaginary stories fixing that is, through publishing our own books so we can empower authors, and also just using our platform to shine a light on people who are writing books. I do try to feature at least one self-published book in our boxes every month. It can be challenging as well. Yeah. But the bigger we get, the easier it will be to do that, and the more funding we'll have to be able to do that. And also start to encourage children to start writing from a young age. So maybe the next 10, 15 years, there'll be so many, publishing that are actually diverse, like through and through with their leadership, that we won't even be having this discussion. So those are all the areas. So that's my vision for imaginary stories. Those are the issues that I can see happening, and those are the ways that I feel imaginary stories can make a difference.
And it's so clear that as much as you're so established, you still sound like you're still not even, you've not touched, you've barely even touched where you want to go to. And I find that so amazing. Because to look at you, you think this is the finished product. this is a fantastic product. What more can you do? And there is still so much more that you're yearning to do, and it's absolutely incredible. And I've got to say, for me personally, I absolutely love the ethos of what you do. I mean, everyone knows one of my sons. He has hearing loss, so he wears hearing aids. And one thing that I always do is I always try and find representation. So whether that's in his culture or with hearing aids or anything like that he's going to relate to, I find it so important. And I just find what you do, what you naturally, organically do, and find so important. I rate you so hard, so highly. It's so much respect for you.
If you haven't bought one already, go and subscribe and get a box. And also, if people have any questions, just reach out. If you're writing a book or you're thinking of writing a book, reach out. You know, the forum is there and the space is there. We just wanted to say a massive thank you for coming on Pulling an All-Nighter.
Thank you.
But we're not just going to let you go.
We've got two things that we need to
do.
Two things, yeah. Firstly, when was the last time you pulled an all-nighter?
Gosh, that would have been, I think that was last week or so.
Oh, really? Why? What were you doing?
It was nothing for all night, but it counts. Sleeping at like 3 a.m. counts. So it was my daughter's head.
Listen, we've all been there.
A whole nother podcast to talk about hair.
Yeah.
A whole nother
Oh
one.
my gosh. And then it always falls on like an inconvenient week when it has to be done. And it's like, if I don't do it this week, it's going to be an issue next week because she's got this party or she's got this event.
Exactly.
And like,
What about her?
we're going to have to make it work this week, whatever's going on.
Right.
And there were so many things going on that I couldn't start till 5 in the evening. And you know what it is? We're taking out the mask.
Yeah.
And they're washing it, and detangling it, and then we're starting the actual. Yeah, but then we're also eating in between. Yeah, we're also chatting in between. Yeah, and then because it has to be fun-ish for her, otherwise she's not gonna.
It's true. No one wants to sit. Yeah.
So before I was done with that, that was probably about 12.
Yeah.
And she was still very she was like, what are we doing? I'm like, go into bed.
But
yeah, and then I had stuff to do after that. Yeah, so I didn't get to do because that was so it wasn't really an all-nighter. But it felt like it.
I was going to say, I feel like that is very much an all-nighter though. It always is. I've not had time to do this, so therefore I'm going to have to now sit until whatever time in the morning to do my hair. So. Very relatable, very painful, extremely. And then the very last thing is fire round. Ooh, okay. We cannot let you leave without doing a quick fire round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Firstly, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh, my go-to karaoke song. Let me think. Why am I feeling like it's going to be Afrobeat?
Well, when your voice already changed, I feel like it's Afrobeat.
Okay, I feel like it's Afrobeat. I'm just thinking, what am I even feeling? Maybe Baby Calm Down by Rema.
True.
Dinner with a historical figure, who would it be?
Ooh, a historical figure. I'm seriously crushing on Similayo Ransom Kuti. I don't know if you know her, but most people know Fela Kuti. Yeah, most people know Fela Kuti. She's Fela Kuti's mom. And I don't know why. I think I was researching her for a Black History back, and I was like, this woman is kind of a big deal. Like, why do we not talk about this woman more? So she was a powerhouse in herself. Obviously, she raised Fela. Yeah. So women's rights activist. I think she was the first woman to attend her school, Abeokuta Grammar School, when she was young. So imagine being the first girl in your secondary school. And then she just did a lot of phenomenal things. She started off as a teacher. And she noticed like the market women in her area in Abeokuta were being taken advantage of by, there was like a traditional ruler who used to impose taxes on them. And you can, in those days, like you don't have a boy, you should be in the kitchen. Yeah. And she was like, no, this is not on. These women are being harassed. And she went to challenge him. And she mobilized the women. There were like 10,000 women, and they put so much pressure on this guy that he had to abdicate his throne. I'm like, this woman is supposed to be reckoned. Read up about Femina Ransom Kuti. I think they've actually even done a movie about her on Amazon Prime. Which is about time. And I think we should be telling our stories, because there's so many people who have done things like this that we don't really know.
Yeah.
Really advocated for like women's rights to vote in Nigeria. She did a lot of things. She won the Lenin Peace Prize or something like that. I don't know.
Wow.
Kind of a big deal.
It's a big deal.
I understand where fella gets it from. He was revolutionary in his own way, not just music. So we understand where he gets it from. Okay, next one. If you could time travel, where would you go?
Ooh, if I could time travel, it's going to sound. Oh, okay. Do you know what? First of all, I'd like to go to the Garden of Eden.
I've got
We're
questions.
going all the way back.
You're like, I've got questions for Adam and Eve.
That's
What
from
would
the
you
big,
guys
very
like?
beginning.
Yes.
The very
Let's
beginning.
go back to where I was stuck. I'm like, I want to see what. I don't know, think I'm so random, because every now and then I'm like, this apple is so sweet. Can you imagine how sweet is that dance of people? He's like, huh? Can you imagine what the fruits would have been like? When you were trying to taste it,
It's organic.
I wonder what it was like. I would love to go back. So this is God's initial plan.
I want to see.
I want to see what are we missing out on here?
Amen.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I could have a superpower. The thing about superpowers, because usually they come with a catch. You're invisible,
Usually.
you get run over. You can read people's minds. They're thinking nasty things about you.
I have never thought of
You
it.
can fly, get hit by a plane. That's what. Why are you even flying? A superpower, it would probably be, I guess, the ability to remember everything.
Ooh.
So if I see things, if I present with information, I kind of store it, because I don't know. I feel like I'm getting to that age where
I don't even remember what you
I'm trying to say something and the word is not even there. So if I could imagine how smart you would be if you could just retain. No, you were so observant. Yeah. Anyways, that's very random.
I've never heard that one before, but that's a really good
That's
one.
a good one, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Texting or talking?
Texting.
Don't call Keisha.
Yeah.
Share picking up your call.
Well, even that
Exactly. You're going to get a response in 3 days.
3 to 5 working days.
3 to 5 working days for Keisha to reply.
And finally, favourite show or movie that you've watched on repeat?
There's so many. This is such a tough question. I've watched on repeat. Favorite? Let's think of movies. I do like. This is a tough one. Favorite show or movie? I do really like Nollywood, but I'm struggling to think of one that I would watch on repeat. It's really on to the next. White Chicks, that's such a random one.
You know what? But I feel like it's always on as well. You can always find it on a channel and you could just watch it. It's an easy watch.
It's an easy watch, and it's watching the deeper it gets.
And that's it. And the older you get, the more you're like, yeah.
Thank you once again, Keisha. Imagine Me Stories. Thank you so much for visiting us. We look forward to having you again.
Oh, thank you.
And Keisha, Instagram, where can we find you?
So,
Instagram website.
I'm on Instagram. We're on Instagram at Imagine Me Stories. Facebook, Imagine Me Stories. Twitter, Imagine Me Box, just because we don't have enough letters to do Imagine Me Stories. And the website is www.imaginemestories.com.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Thank you.